Hey, this is day 3 of our focus on Moses' fourth excuse. I'm just not good enough. I can't imagine the intellectual stretching Moses must have experienced to become the leader of Israel. He would be called on to stand before Pharaoh, to prepare the people for travel, to coordinate the tribal migration of likely more than 2 million people through 40 years of wilderness living. He would lead the construction of the tabernacle, the training of the Hebrew priests, the coordination and training of soldiers and directing them in battles, the food and water supplies for that many people, and the disposal of human waste in camp after camp as they migrated. At the time of his life, when he was 80 years old and God called him back to Egypt, Moses was really good with sheep. I mean, really good. He had taken care of those sheep for more than 14,500 days in a row. He led the herd and fed the herd. He was good with sheep. Now God was asking him to fire up brain capacity that had been dormant for 40 years and to supercharge his thinking. Moses was certain that God had it all wrong. Moses was just not good enough. He might have been back in the day, but at this stage of his life, he was not up to the task. So, what about you? Do you think you're not good enough? The Apostle Paul was a brilliant man and a gifted linguist, but he deliberately set aside his abilities so that they would not interfere with the spiritual work that God could do through him. As we saw on Monday this week, Paul did not rely on his own speaking skills, but on the Spirit of the Lord. He also did not rely on his own intelligence. He said, "For I determined not to know anything among you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified." 1 Corinthians 2:2. When Kathy and I were in Bible college, we had a friend who was kind of overwhelmed by college studies. He struggled to understand the lectures, and he had difficulty completing all the reading required. He had a terrible time writing research papers and taking tests. He was giving it his best, yet he often felt like he just wasn't going to make it. However, we noticed that he led more people to Christ than most of the rest of the student body combined. You see, being used by God is not dependent on your academic acumen or your natural abilities or your intelligence. Jesus himself said he could use stones to sing his praises if man wouldn't do it. Luke 19:37-40. Your ability to serve the Lord is not based on your IQ or your intelligence quotients. Rather, it is based on your AQ and your DQ, your availability quotient and your dependability quotient. Not Dairy Queen, your dependability quotient. Question number 1. Can God count on you to be faithful to Him? Can He? Question number 2. How can other people count on you to minister to them in His name? Remember Tabitha? She's also called Dorcas. She's talked about in Acts 9. In Aramaic, which was the common language of believers in Israel, her name was Tabitha. In Greek, the common language from Greece to Asia, her name was Dorcas. Both names mean gazelle, but she is remarkable for more than just her name. People all around that area gave testimony to how Tabitha had blessed and enriched their lives. The days before you could run to a store and buy something cheap, Tabitha sewed tunics and garments for the widows to keep them warm in the winter. Everyone could count on Tabitha. So, how can other people count on you to minister to them in His name? Question number 3. Look back in your life to a time when you feel like or felt like you failed the Lord. What could you have done back then that would be different in order to love and serve Him more faithfully? And question 4, what will you do differently next time? Maybe that same circumstance won't come up, but you have grown because of that experience. How will you use that? Action step. Write down the names of 5 people who have ministered to you as they serve the Lord. And now, write a thank you note to at least one of them this week. God wants to count on you. He wants you to be available and dependable. He can take care of the rest. You just show up, love Him, serve Him. God bless you guys.